Awesome. All right, so you've got the core, you've got the foundation now, which is super great. Now we're gonna start to look at is sort of, looking at life like you're a tree, right? Like if you want to plant peach tree seeds, or if you want to plant apple seed trees, like what do you think is gonna grow out of the apple seed trees? It's not a peach tree, right? You're gonna grow an apple tree. So the seeds that you plant now are gonna lead to the results that you get in the future. I mean, it's a very basic concept, but a lot of people, they expect that they're gonna have this magnificent apple tree. It's gonna grow the most delicious golden apples ever. It's gonna be awesome. And then they plant mango seeds, or they plant, strawberry bushes. That's just not gonna happen. And so it's really critical to understand that a tree represents the tree of life, and the tree has fruits, and in life, these fruits are results. And so we look at the fruits, results, and if we don't like them, or there aren't enough of them, or they're too small, they don't taste good, most people put their attention, most people put their focus, they've got their tree. Most people put their focus on the actual fruits that come out of the tree. So again, kind of sticking with our apple tree example, say your apples are tiny, or your apples aren't really that delicious. Maybe they're browning a little bit. Most people put all of their attention on these apples. They put all their focus on the apples. They put all the attention on the fruit, but they can't really do anything about it just by focusing on the fruit or focusing on the results, right? Like if you notice that your investing is going awfully, most people put more and more attention on it. But what actually creates these results, what actually creates this fruit, is not like the tree up here, but instead it's the roots, right? It's the roots of the tree, it's the base of the tree, it's the core of the tree. It's what's underground that creates the results. And what's underground is what's also called your education, right? It's what's invisible, right? Like the ground, obviously you can't see below here, but it's what's invisible, right? You can't see this, but this what actually creates the results. It's what actually creates the roots. It's what actually creates the trunk that leads to the bushel that leads to the fruit. Like the results come from what's invisible. The visible is created by the education, by the underground forces that you plan at the beginning. This is what you start with. And then once you have what you need to start with, you go to the finish line. And what you have at the finish line, the result that you create, is going to depend exclusively on the foundation that you build and what you start growing with. This means that if you want to change the fruits, you first have to change the roots. If you want to change the visible, you first have to change the invisible. And that's sort of our first wealth principle here. You've got to focus on your core, on yourself, so you can create better results. And then Eckhart actually kind of does something really cool here. He says, some people say that seeing is believing. And the question that he has for so many people is, he sees and they say, why do you bother paying your electric bill? Although you can see electricity, you cannot see electricity, you can certainly recognize its use and its power. And if you have any doubt as to whether it exists, you can just stick your finger in an electric socket and your doubts will quickly disappear. A lot of people don't focus on what they can't see. A lot of people don't focus on what maybe their education or their subconscious, but in reality, like that's gonna create the biggest result for them. In Eckart's experience, what you cannot see in this world is far more powerful than anything you can see. You can have extraordinarily wealthy people lose a lot of money really quickly, like we talked about last time. What's gonna create the results, what's gonna allow them to rebound, what's gonna allow them to create much more wealth than they ever have before by creating new assets and investing in new assets is not what's physically with them right now, but instead it's what's in their mind. It's gonna get them to that set point that they're at. And if you don't follow this law, you're literally going against the laws of nature, whereby what is under the ground creates what's above the ground, and what's invisible creates the visible. As humans, we're kind of naturally used to focusing on laws of nature, working on our roots, working on our inner, so that life can flow smoothly. If you don't focus on your inner world, it's going to be a rough trip. I grew up in a very harsh, emotionally tense environment, and the reason why it's so many arguments was probably I didn't have any social skills, so I didn't understand what I kind of taught in the seminars on social skills. But I think most importantly, I didn't realize that you have to work on the roots of connections, the roots of relationship assets, the roots of care more than anything else. And if you don't do that, you're screwed, right? And that literally crushed like a really massive chunk of my childhood, because like I didn't have, it was rough, right? It gets rough if you don't focus on the inner world. In every forest, on every farm, in every orchard on earth, it's what's under the ground that creates what's above the ground. That's why placing your attention on the fruits that you already have grown is literally futile. I remember kind of when I was growing up, and it's kind of talking about this, but like my brother, it was really for a long time he'd bully me like over and over and over again, and it was so harsh. It was just a really difficult time in my life for a very long time. And like my parents were like, why are you so upset? Why are you so sad? I'm like, he would like bully me every single day over and over again. And my parents literally had me go to therapy for years because like I got so upset and so hurt. It was awful. And the reason it was so bad is because the roots and the base of our relationship was awful. It was so bad. And I would try to work on it. But it's tough because when you start growing something, when you start growing an asset, you start growing a connection, you start growing anything with the wrong roots. Like once the tree is half sprouted, you can't just yank it out of the ground. And that was a really big challenge I had for a very large period of my early life. Is I would always be bullied by my brother, and it would destroy. Like I was so upset, so sad, so distraught over and over again. And really the only end to it was like me leaving. And sometimes if you plant the wrong tree and you plant poison seeds and you grow something that's awful that you can't get rid of, sometimes you've got to do what we talked about earlier. You got to jump off that ledge and into a new opportunity, into a new world. And that's kind of exactly what I've done. And ever since I left that toxic environment, my results, my portfolio, my financials, like everything has literally gone geometric. It's gone exponential. It's so huge because you get rid of the negative influences, the negative environment. And so I really don't want you to go through literally a decade of torture in your life. And so that's why I want you to understand this concept now, because you can plant seeds today that will literally have an impact on your life in 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. And you want to make sure you plant the right seeds, because if you don't, like I've personally firsthand been through some very ugly experiences, and those come from the wrong seed. And so let's go back over to the book and talk about how you can actually set up the right seeds by using a concept that Eckhart calls the 4 quadrants. Because that's the core, right? Is if you want to change fruits, like you can't, he says it right here, like you cannot change the fruits that are already hanging on the tree, but you can change tomorrow's fruits. And to do so, you have to dig below the ground and strengthen the roots. So, with that said, let's look at the 4 quadrants. Now, what's interesting here is, one of the most important things that you can ever understand is that we do not live on only one plane of existence. In fact, we live in at least 4 different realms at once. And these 4 quadrants literally make up everything around us. And soon we're gonna get into the cash flow quadrant. We're gonna get some more stuff about assets later on in the implementation program. I want you to kind of keep that all separate, keep it all separate. These are your 4 mental quadrants. These are your 4 inner quadrants. These aren't like asset quadrants. These are quadrants about you, okay? So you got M, E, S, and P, right? And it all goes to P. Now what's interesting is M is kind of what you probably think of. This is the mental world, right? P, this is the reality, right? Like this is the physical world, right? And then alongside that, you have the emotional world, and you guessed it, the spiritual world. And we're gonna focus a lot more later in the implementation coaching program on the spiritual world. Just with there's a lot of really powerful meditation and stress things that have really allowed me to literally 10x my trading and investing just by using some really powerful spiritual strategies. It doesn't matter if you're religious or not, this stuff's literally game changing. And then emotionally, like I'm not a relationships coach or anything, but to kind of give you that emotional side, that's kind of why I created the How to Win Friends and Influence People seminar series and all the bonuses and stuff with that. So that's kind of that. But what we want to focus on right now is how we can master the mental state. And again, we'll get to spiritual a lot deeper later in the program, just a little bit later, because it literally is so key to like trading and investing. Like if you don't have, it's not like just spiritual, but like it's you. And we'll get a lot deeper into it, and it's also emotional. It ties into emotional, and we'll get so much deeper into that as the program goes on. What we want to focus here is you want to understand that the physical results, these come from what you have in your mental world, what you have in your spiritual, what you have in your emotional world. They lead to the physical result. And what most people never realize is the physical realm is merely a printout of the other 3. These 3 are like the roots, and the physical world is the resulting tree, is the resulting fruit that comes from the roots internally, right? So for example, let's suppose you just written a letter on your computer and you hit the print key and the letter comes out of your computer. As you look at the hard copy, you realize that there's a typo. So you take out your erase, you wrote out the typo, you print it again, and out again comes the same typo. And you think, how could this be if you just erased the typo? Because this time you get a bigger eraser and you rub even harder and longer and longer. You even study a 300-page manual called Effective Erasing. I got all the tools and all the knowledge you could ever need, and you're ready. And you hit the print key, and there it is again. You cry out, stunning, amazing. How could this be? What is going on here? Am I in the Twilight Zone? Because what's going on here, and this is that the real problem cannot be changed in the printout, in the physical world. It can only be changed in the program. It can only be changed in the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual world. Money, for all intents and purposes, money is a result. So when you think about results, like this is stuff like money, right? This is stuff like portfolio. When you think about the results that you have, these results come from, they're the printouts, right? Wealth is a result. You guys know how insanely important it is sort of to have physical well-being. Like health is just a printout. Health is just a result. Your weight is just a result. We live in a world of cause and effect. All the effects are results, and these results come from the causes, which are mental, emotional, and spiritual quadrants. If you've ever heard someone assert that lack of money was a problem, that's not the case. A lack of money is never ever a problem. A lack of money is merely a symptom of what is going on underneath, what is going on with the roots, what's going on down below, right? What's going on in your inner world, because the only way to change your outer world is to change your inner world. Whatever result you're getting, whether you're rich, poor, whether it's a great result or a terrible result, positive, negative, always remember that your outer world is simply a reflection of your inner world. And if things aren't going well in your outer life, it's because things aren't going well in your inner life. It's that simple. So as we get deeper and deeper and deeper, especially into some of the declarations we're about to get into, it's really important that you understand, if you want to change the outside, you've got to change the inside. And that's sort of the core and the foundation for everything we're gonna get deeper and deeper and deeper into here. You gotta understand, everything comes from you. Everything comes from the work that you're doing right now and that you've done in the past to create who you are. And the output that you are comes from the work that you've done to create your inner self. And if you haven't done a lot of work there yet, not a big deal. We're gonna get through some secrets you can use to apply that and create that personal development, create those strategies for yourself, and get the results that you want. Very, very powerful concept and really huge stuff. So definitely make sure you have your copy in the middle of your mind, so you can follow along and actually implement everything here, so you can actually shift those inner quadrants and create that result you desire. All right, sound cool? Sound fair? All right, sweet. Hope you guys had a ton of value. Hope you love this module. Go out there, apply it, absolutely crush it. And I will see you in the next module. Thank you. Bye.